We learn from elders. We learn from survival. We learned from each other. For trans guys. Wisdom you can feel. Real talk. Collective care. Welcome to For Trans Guys. I'm Megan.
I'm Zander.
I'm JJ.
I'm Mike.
And welcome to the show. We have another fun guest with us who is going to share a little bit about their story.
Yes. Hello, Mike. So glad you're here. It's been a long time.
It's good to be here. Nice to see you again.
Absolutely. So let's start off with just having you talk to us a little bit about who are you? Who's Mike? And then what brings you to the table today?
Mike is a work in progress, and I'm here because I was invited.
Absolutely. How about a little bit more? Just a little bit more. I know you have a very vast history and, different kinds of careers.
I started in the Lou Sullivan's group up in San Francisco in the 90s. I started testosterone in 91, but I don't know when. It was either the first or second quarter. I didn't write the date down, so I don't have an anniversary. It wasn't important to me. For me, that was a tool for the world to see me as I saw myself, and not a birthday or a big, huge change or anything. Because in essence, the only thing that's changed is my appearance and my confidence. Everything else, hopefully I've grown a little bit in between there. But for the most part, not too much changed.
Well, I see that you have in your description, for those who are watching in video, they can see it, but those who are listening just with their ears might not know it, but it says underneath your name, just another bear. Can you tell people what that means to you?
Yeah, I'm working on an article right now for Bear Book 3, which is being edited by Les Wright, who's a bear historian. And my essay is about feeling other or being other. So I didn't fit in the Butch Dyke community because I was too masculine. I didn't exactly fit into the FTM community because I was kinky and into other trans men and gay. And none of those things kind of fit in the four squares. I didn't fit wholly in the bear community because I'm trans. And so just learning to navigate the spaces between and not focusing on the things that made me different, but focusing on the things that allowed me to be part of those groups is kind of sort of what I'm working on right now.
And given the time frame that you described when you kind of first started going on T, what a younger person might not know is that, like, the ability to be trans and be gay, or to be in the kink community, was not as prevalent then as it is now, and finding a doctor was harder, right? And so I imagine you've had kind of a long journey of how you've navigated healthcare, how you've navigated your chosen family. Like, how has that worked for you to kind of navigate some of those things over the years?
Well, first of all, there was no internet, or very little internet, so there was no ability to connect in that fashion. There were trans men in those communities, but not many of them. And gay men were not willing to engage intimately or sexually with trans men. And so I learned in disclosing that the rejection wasn't a rejection of me. I was the catalyst for their meltdown around, does this mean I'm not gay? Am I bi? What's the deal? I just happen to be the catalyst for that, and started having fun with it because going out and meeting somebody and going home with them was not happening. We're looking at the fastest it happened was 3 months. The longest it happened was 7 years. In terms of navigating healthcare, you had to lie about your orientation or you didn't get the shot. So I lied to do what I need to get what I needed to get, and that was it. Healthcare hasn't been too much of an issue. I had a doctor down here who, it was not a down here meaning LA. In San Francisco, I traveled to Los Gatos to an endocrinologist. In LA, I went to a clinic that another trans man referred me to. And frankly, I was there for bronchitis. That person wound up being my provider. And I'm now at Desert AIDS Project, which has a trans component. And that's been easy because I don't have to be careful about what I say or what I'm doing.
Amazing, the evolution, Mike. I'm just so honored, deeply honored to talk with you because your lived experience is so prophetic of the journey that trans folks have been on for this period of time. And it makes me wonder, as your healthcare has evolved, as your connections to community has evolved, what does wellness look like for you in these different seasons, if you're able to map them, or even just now? I'm just curious because the evolution is just profound to me.
I mean, wellness involves knowing when to stay engaged and talk to other people about things are bad right now, but they were bad before. So we've got a whole generation that grew up with healthcare, insurance, access to doctors who weren't hell-bent on you having all the surgeries within a particular timeline. A men's community, a women's community, and a non-binary community that is, for the most part, welcoming. And I've got a certain amount of privilege because I've been navigating those communities now for, the kink community for almost 40 years, trans 35. So I've been around and I look how I look. So I'm invisible to other trans men and invisible to most non-trans men or the world at large, which gives me the ability to be the fly on the wall and listen to what's being said and then pop in when it's appropriate. So I consider myself fortunate. Let's be blunt, the crap that I went through in the early 90s has made me who I am today. I'm a lot more comfortable in my skin. I've managed to, for the most part, get over low self-esteem. I still have it from time to time. My biggest sadness when I came into the community was there were a group of men who were practicing celibacy because they were afraid of being rejected by women. And so I wrote a sex column for the new FTM newsletter. And I did that on a variety of topics for a number of years because I wanted people to go out and meet other folks and find love and be happy without having to fit in, marriage, white picket fence, 2.5 kids, and a couple of dogs.
What's good advice for someone who is scared to do that, to get out and try for the first time?
Wingman. take a wingman. Best advice I ever got was don't go out alone. You look intense. The biggest fear, bigger than public speaking, is the fear of being rejected. So when I was alone, standing in the periphery, not only was I clueless about the signs and signals, but I looked very unapproachable. If I was hanging out with friends, I was laughing and having a good time. And so someone was more likely to come approach me. And that's still true today. I can look pretty cranky.
I love that. And something you said, I just really resonated with me, and I just want to touch on it again, is your wisdom of understanding that when approaching gay men, that they were having feelings and that those feelings had nothing to do with you. And I just thought your ability to recognize that, and I am not articulating it the right way, but I wonder if you can expound a little bit about that, because sometimes it feels as though when I meet with someone and they aren't fully attracted to me, I feel like I'm the burden. And I think you've done a lot of work towards that. And I want to better understand, kind of give me hope with that, because just who you are gives me hope.
I can do that. So it took me a while to figure it out. And it wasn't an easy process getting there, but I got advice. It's like one of my best friends, who was a gay man who I worked very, very hard to connect with, was the one who told me, Wink, go out with friends. A really dear friend of mine, in fact, my best friend today, we've known each other for 35 years, said, if you don't ask, the answer's already no. So by asking, you got a 50-50 shot. And if you get no, that's an opportunity for somebody else to say yes. And then the other piece of advice, which was fantastic, was if you want to eat, you got to order. If you want a steak, you got to ask for a steak. So you need to know what you like, what you're looking for, and whether this person can give it to you. And then it's just a matter of, you figure things out as you go. My success rate changed when I stopped saying I was born female and started saying I wasn't born male. If I said I was born female, preconceived notions, gay man, bad prom, backseat, daddy's car with Bobby Sue. If I said I wasn't born male, it was, well, what does that mean? And so the conversation started off different. But at the end of the day, too much talk is not going to lead to action. You've got to figure out the right amount of talk and the way to keep it sexy to get what you want. And these days, you don't have to go to a bar to meet people. You can, if you like quilting, you go quilting. If you like playing baseball, you go play baseball. There are apps, there are events, there's always the bars. So there's just a lot more opportunity, and the men's community has changed drastically. Younger folks don't care. That's a generalization, but you know where I'm going.
Well, and I know we have regular questions we ask everyone, and I have not cleared this with you yet, but hey, trans guys and other listeners, if you have dating questions, send them in to transitionalwisdom.net, and we'll ask Mike to consensually come back and answer your questions, because I could talk to you about that all day long, and I'm married and not dating. So
yeah.
Well,
anyway.
I've got 3 relationships, so I'm not dating, but I'm hooking up a lot.
Right? I'm just saying that's a commodity these days to know some of that kind of wisdom. But I'm gonna toss it over to Zander because Zander's got questions too.
I always have questions. Gosh, there's so many things that I'd love to follow up on with what you've already said, Mike. Like I really want to know what forms of healing or inner work that you've done to get to this place where low self-esteem is no longer as big of a deal. I'm also curious to know, like, you mentioned that you're part of the bear community, and I'm wondering what other communities have you been part of and or consider yourself to be part of. But before you answer, I just want to say I appreciate that you didn't make any comments about the way to deal with um, wanting to, hook up with a guy was to spend time trying to convince them that if they didn't want to hook up with you, that they were a bigot or a prejudiced person or a transphobe. I like that you basically said, and I remember hearing this from Pat Califia about like this thing that comes up for them, like, does this mean I'm not gay? And I was like, that makes so much sense. And so it would just pile on top of that to then tell them, if you don't find me attractive, there's something really wrong with you. So I just want to say I appreciate that the compassion and the understanding that you have um, when you're going out, into the hookup world, so to speak.
Hey, look, I'm pushing 65. I don't have time for mediocre sex. And in terms of gathering self-esteem, it's positive situations or positive experiences. So what I would do is if I was feeling particularly vulnerable, I wouldn't ask. I'd either stay home or hang out with friends or write or do something else. I wouldn't put myself in a situation where a rejection had greater weight than if I was in a good headspace. So that's the first thing I did. And then the second thing is just over time, a series of just really good connections and learning what works for me. I mean, I've got a friend who can see somebody across the room, go over, have a chat, and next thing you know, they're doing something. I'm not wired that way. I like to observe, gather data, kind of sort of circle each other for probably longer than I'd like. And I just use that as foreplay.
Yeah, basically, you're not comparing yourself to that friend of yours. Oh, if I can't do what that guy does, then there's something wrong with me. It's like, no, you're wired differently. You want different things. You go about things differently. And there's no reason to internalize that in some negative way. Like, that makes sense.
And that's the problem with just about any group that anyone joins is you're told there's a way to do things, that you have to do it this way or in this order, or you're not one of us. And I've always been the kind of person who will come in, take information, use what works for me, and discard the rest. And it's like, that's your path. That's not my path. I'm not doing it that way. I waited 7 or 8 years to have chest surgery because I hated my breast, but my nipples were connected. And I didn't want to lose that. And I'd never had surgery. I was freaked out. I'm glad I waited and I'm glad I did it because the freedom before and after was very palpable, but you don't know it till you do it. So also by waiting, I made sure I didn't have any weird cowlicks, pretty hairy.
Then how about community? Outside of the bear community, FTM community, are there other communities that you're part of now or have been that have been important, influential for you?
I mean, I'm part of the trans community by history, but I'm not going to conferences or events or doing those types of things. I'm connected with pockets of trans men internationally by virtue of the fact that we've met at an event or online or connected in some way, shape, or form. The main community I'm spending time in right now is the leather and kink community. And also lately, bear, there's some intersectionality, but not a lot. And I've known Les for a number of years, and he contacted me about submitting an essay. I remember when the first book came out, I think it was 97, 99. I poured through it to find passages that I could use to say, I belong here. You know, I'm part of this community. This piece of information gets me there. And that's kind of sort of come full circle. Les started the Bear History Project. It's now known as Bear History Project International. I was involved in the beginning. I'm sort of peripherally involved now, but Les connected me to a documentarian, Andy Langdon, who did a documentary called Bears. So I got selected, I got interviewed. They had a 1 hour kind of sort of work in progress thing. And he's in the process of trying to get that picked up by Netflix or HBO. So that's thrilling on the one hand and frightening on the other, because I've been out on my terms, and this is, and I'm not out at work. It's none of their business. You know, work thinks I'm some old straight Cuban Latino guy. And let them think what they want to think. I'm there to work.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
If people are interested in connecting more, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Email chef2b@dotandfeather.com. The 2 is number 2, not TO.
Got it right up there.
Thank you.
And the other thing we like to do is let our guest have the last word. Is there anything you'd like to leave the audience with?
Not really. I plugged Bear History. I plugged the Bear documentary. I've got no projects going. I like working behind the scenes. My work is more service to the community than look at me, look at what I'm doing. I work better that way.
How about
then I have
words of wisdom, maybe,
question.
Mike?
Oh, sorry, what?
I was going to say a words of wisdom from Mike, maybe. What was your
No,
question?
I was going to ask a closing question that I'm curious
Okay.
about. Since I've declared you our official dating and hooking up guru of 4 trans guys, my question is, when you're not interested in someone who's hitting on you, what's a kind way to decline?
Thank you. This isn't going anywhere.
I like it.
Or there's it's not going to work out. I think the worst thing you can do is engage and keep it going. But thank you or no thank you works rather well. And if the reason you're not connecting is you're both looking for the same thing, introduce them to your friends. I mean, if I meet somebody who's kind and funny and talented, I share with my friends.
There you go. That's what the wingman's for.
That's what the wingman's for.
I love that. Well, thank
Social
you.
lubricant seems to be my role in the world. Connect people.
Well, thank you for being our wingman and being on this episode with us. We really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks so much for letting me be on.
Thanks, Mike.